Well, hello there, and welcome to Banned and Restricted announcement. Yes. Never mind. It is just 3 cards. But there is some hope before we get into it. As you can see here, Fable's banned, Invoke is banned, Reckoner Bankbuster's banned. These are good. One more thing I want to point out before we get into the article. It's this right here, which I did not read when I was on stream reacting to the article at first. I read through the entire article until getting to this point, which changed my perspective a little bit. So we will have our first yearly banned and restricted announcement on August 7th. That means that there is still hope. There's still hope for bans. In my opinion, this is not enough. This gives me a tiny bit of hope. Now, announcement doesn't mean there's going to be more bans. But one can only hope, because as it stands, I don't think this is enough. And yeah, we're going to talk about it real quick. So if you want to read the article, I'll leave it in the description. But yeah, essentially, they're going over their main reasoning for doing this. The first thing they say is, they're focused on paper magic. They want to make sure that bans are less disruptive, because people have been saying that the bans are too unpredictable, too inconsistent, and hurt players' abilities to have confidence in building and playing their decks. That means they want Standard to be a better investment for paper magic, which is truly, truly unfortunate that we are at the mercy of paper magic on Arena. Because otherwise, I'm sure we would get more bans here, but it is what it is. So, yeah, they're explaining that they want more consistency when it comes to bans, and that they want this to happen one time annually before the fall previews begin for the next set. And it won't just include Standard, it will be Modern, Pioneer, Legacy, and Vintage as well. So their goal, according to them, is they want Standard to remain fun and healthy. Wait, what? Oh yeah, they want Standard to remain fun and healthy overall, which I guess is not the case right now. So they had to do something. And they will be placing more scrutiny on cards and play patterns that have been in play longer to ensure Standard is fresh, engaging, and continually exciting. So when it comes to bans, they're approaching this from like a longevity, like I don't know how to say this. The older the cards are, the more chances they have of getting banned, which I guess is whatever. It's not that interesting from a balance standpoint, but it's fine. But they want Standard to be fresh, engaging, and continually exciting. Then why did they not rotate? Why leave us in this format? Because I guess let's talk about it now. This is a little bit out of order, but Fable, Invoke, and Bankbuster getting banned is not really. It's shaking up this metagame, but it's not really introducing anything new to the table. Like, a rotation would have been so good when it comes to keeping things, as they said, fresh, exciting. New decks, just completely new decks. But instead, not only does this, in my opinion, not even hurt Rakdos that much, it definitely hurts some aspects of Rakdos, and specifically the archetype Invoke Despair, but they literally just introduced Breach in Italy. Rakdos has gained a new set of completely absurd win cons in like devastating cards that they still have access to big score to ramp into them. So they're taking away, the main problem cards, I would say, when it comes to consistency and like really oppressiveness. But Rakdos still has insane removal, really good sweepers, really good creatures with Harvester, Shield Red, and now they might have more incentive to go back into blue with Make Disappear and Appraiser, but they still have like Tally and Reach. So in my opinion, Rakdos is not gone. And if that's the case, then this is not exciting and fresh at all. And even supposing that this shakes things up, what are we going back to? Rafine, Legends, Mono White, Soldiers, Ramp? These are decks that are not that interesting. Like, honestly, from a deck building standpoint, they're straightforward. There's not much nuance to them. I mean, I guess there's a lot of mechanics in those decks. Like Legends fundamentally is an interesting deck. You're using channel lands to gain value after legendaries, stuff like that. But it's just the mana base is like too good, and sometimes it can be really oppressive. But I don't really want to go back in time to the Legends meta, to the soldiers, to the Celestial enchantments, to the mono white. I want something new, and this is not it. And that is truly sad. But again, this is all just theory, and I'm hoping that this is incorrect, and this actually does shake up the format. At least I want Rakdos gone, even though I'm terrified that another deck's just going to take over. They should, when you're banning, you want to leave some rooms for further modifications if something else pops up. But as you'll see here, this is the only time we're getting a ban until August, if needed. But let's keep moving forward with the article. I don't know. This is all speculation about the metagame and what it's going to become, but I am just sad that I don't want to be playing these decks for another year. Standard's appeal is that you get new things. I don't know. Maybe just me. Okay. So we got the annual bans, and then we've got the fresh, exciting whatever. In addition to the yearly announcement, we're getting ban and restriction on the third Monday after every set release. Those third Monday, there could be a ban dedicated to large environmental imbalances. These will, by and large, happen after the Pro Tour. So after the Pro Tour, and basically they're saying that they don't want people to feel stuck in a metagame, so it's kind of like an emergency ban that they're enacting on the metagame, and they're only planning on doing bans like this for cards that are truly absurd, like Felidar Guardian. They're saying on the level of Felidar Guardian, and they hope they never have to use this, which is scary, which means that they're going to be conservative about banning cards, and I don't think that's necessarily good. Also, keep in mind that 3 weeks, some cards will and definitely can go under the radar, and those cards will not be covered by this 3-week window. So also frustrating. This is the whole point of this, is so we don't feel stuck in a bad format. But we're gonna feel stuck if cards go under the radar. But hopefully they can just ban it on the next Monday, whatever, after the set release. So they go into a little bit more detail about why they're banning these cards specifically, and I guess we can go into that real quick. So they're saying that the 3-color shell based in black-red decks past several sets have been a little bit too strong in tournaments, and these changes will help reduce the win rate of the dominant strategy in the format and create an exciting shakeup and entry point to the format preceding the summer and release of Wilds of Eldraine, the next set. So they're essentially saying that this will be an exciting shakeup, and I hope it is. But I am a little bit skeptical, just because I don't see Breach Italy being bad suddenly. But I hope I'm wrong. I really do. And I hope that there's not like one more dominant deck that is just impossible to beat. But that doesn't seem to necessarily be the case, because again, the problem was that Fable and Bankbuster were permanents that were not fundamentally, not on surface level, just creatures. And most decks can answer a deck like Rafine, let's say, a Legends, because that's just creatures. There's no like tricky things going on. I mean, there are tricky things going on, but not in terms of like other permanents necessarily. And Fable is kind of similar. Well, I guess I was talking about Fable. Okay. So if you want to read this, I don't know if should I really go into this. I guess fine. I don't know. I'm debating whether or not to read this whole thing. It's kind of long, but I guess I can just give the TLDR. So Fable, one of the strongest cards in Standard, especially in black-red decks. It generates too many resources, card flow, and must-kill threats. It presents must-kill threats unmatched at its level of efficiency, 100%. So the main problem is that it costs 3 mana, in that the counterplay to it, as they go into here, is more expensive or less efficient than itself. So too broken, too early, way too insane. So they're hoping to reduce the power of black-red decks by, but also make deck building choices for these strategies more meaningful. There you go. Kikijiki ban. Bankbuster, go-to card advantage for many decks in Standard. As a colorless card, it's really easy to slot into a variety of decks, and it has and the general ubiquity and Strength have pushed out other card advantage options too much as a colorless card. So yeah, that's exactly the thing, is that when you want card draw, Bankbuster. And it has also put a stress on creature sizing. Now they say that it's because you want, like, people will start playing creatures to crew Bankbuster. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think the cards happen to be cards, creatures that you want to play already, and they just crew Bankbuster, because the fundamental issue is that the crew 3 is too easy with the amount of stats. The amount of stats that we have currently in standard, a crew of 3 is just way too simple. I guess I can't really show it because I'm zoomed in. But also the fact that when they say creature sizing, I thought they were going to go into the fact that it's a 4/4 attacker and blocker, which means that early game creatures are less relevant in combat because you have this huge wall that you can put in front of it or attack through. So that's my issue with Bankbuster, but they say that's because people are favoring 3 power creatures, which I don't necessarily think is the case. All good creatures are 3 power, that's just how it is. Invoke has been the premier curve topper in most black-red decks and most black strategies in its lifetime. Not only is it powerful for managing the battlefield and generating card advantage, but it also has been excellent for it. It has been excellent at showing up Black's weakness. So Black's weakness is that they have trouble dealing with a variety of permanents. They don't have they don't have Farewell. They don't have good enchantment-based removal. They don't have great Planeswalker removal. They do have it, but usually it's at a cost. Usually it's just like a random sacrifice effect, but nothing all in one. And that means it's really hard to find counterplay to black strategies, because you can't run like Wedding Announcement to just go wide and they can just make you sack it. Sure, Wedding Announcement is a good card to play into Invoke, but it's not that good because you still have part of Invoke that is still going through. So it's hard to find counterplay, and it's an effective card to cast on empty boards. So flexible and punishing for your opponent if they don't play into the permanent types that you want to sack with Invoke, or that you don't want to sack with Invoke potentially, but anything that this can sack. So it also preys upon people who are playing enchantments and planeswalkers. It gives just black decks an easy way to handle them because they don't have to commit many other cards. They don't have to tech for those spells. They just have an all-in-one bomb that can draw them cards worst case, and best case sacrifice those. Well, I guess it's weird because there are best case and worst case scenarios for both effects. Like sometimes you just want the card drawn the damage, sometimes you do want to sack everything. I don't know. Too strong, too high power level, negative impact on card diversity. Like for me, this is the main thing. Card diversity is just, that's the whole point of a card game, is that you can play a lot of stuff. And the fact that Invoke is pushing so heavily, it's so oppressive. It is definitely pushing out, other cards, and it's pushing the meta. It slams the meta into a certain direction. But it's not just Invoke the card itself. It's more because it was combined with Fable and because the mana base is too good. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. It's interesting. It's good, assuming we get more bans on it on August 7th, and assuming that the metagame doesn't go terribly in the next 2 months, because otherwise we're screwed. We'll see what happens tomorrow. These bans go into effect on the 30th. Well, hope you're all looking forward to the new meta. I'm scared, but definitely looking forward to seeing what happens. Hopefully Rakdos is gone. Doubt it, but Breach is what it is. Anyways, I will see you all in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you enjoy my content and would like to help me keep making it, consider supporting me over on Patreon, where you can access to a bunch of bonus videos, as well as other rewards depending on the tiers. And thank you so much to all the lovely patrons that are already subscribed. I appreciate it very much. And I will see you all in the next video.